It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
Hello, everyone. This is Tyrone Lowe. This is my show, The Legends. And I want to thank everybody that subscribes, tune in, and, hear me all over the internet and, my podcast, all that. I thank you guys. I really, really love the love. On the show of The Legends today, I have an artist that when I heard his tracks, I was actually blown away, and for his age preference, he has a real maturity in music. So today I bring you Landon McKellen, a.k.a. Dirty F. White. What's going on, dude?
Hey, it's an honor to be here, Tyrone. Thank you so much. You're a legend, first of all, just to open up with that. It's appropriate, and it's an honor to be here, and I appreciate you bringing me on.
So, what we're going to talk about is how did you actually, started actually singing and playing the piano? Because when I heard your tracks and then when I saw your video, I was actually mesmerized. So how did you start it? Who influenced you it had to be at an early age because your maturity level is very high.
I appreciate that. I'll take that as a compliment. The love is real, and the effort and the time and the practice, that I put into my craft is to have it recognized. You know what I mean? The fact that you would look and you actually see the potential and you see what's going on. So that's a blessing to start with. But just to kind of keep it concise. I grew up in a super conservative Christian household, right? Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't know that, I guess, necessarily by listening to some of my music. Other music, right, does have some gospel influences and stuff like that. But really the way it happened was I really have just church to blame. For it in all reality. So I grew up, like I said, super conservative, Seventh-day Adventist, as a matter of fact. I don't know if you've ever heard of that denomination, but
yes, I have.
That's what I came up as. So while I was literally in vitro in my mom's uterus, she was singing in church choir. She was singing in special musics in church. The harmonies and the melodies are infused in my head in a way like no other. I can't describe it. So I have to give all credit to her. I have to give all credit to the church and the music that I was exposed to when I was a kid. I started tinkering around with piano at probably the age of 6 or 7, to be realistic. Just picking out some random stuff, and people around me started to recognize oh, he's doing something. So as time grew, as time went along, I was exposed to more and more, and my mom, behind my dad's back, as a matter of fact, started paying for me to have piano lessons. Okay. And so from the ages of 10 to 12-ish or so, I took piano lessons from a local, lady that was in my area. And she really boosted up my confidence, boosted up my understanding of musical theory to an extent. And I was just that little kid. At 6, 7 years old. Jesus loves me, this I know, standing on stage in church.
Right.
And as time went along, it wasn't until I was probably 17 or 18 that I actually started to take it seriously and be hey, this is something that I could actually, make a career out of. And so that's the long and short of it, really. Raised as a church boy, exposed to pretty much a whole lot of gospel and a whole lot of piano music and a whole lot of hymns and stuff like that. Right. And as the evolution kind of occurred, I started to latch on to soul. I started to latch on to rock. I started to latch on to gospel. I started to latch on to hip hop, especially. I've got hip hop tattooed on my chest. I mean, I'm forever a hip hop head, and hip hop was something that immediately grabbed me as a really, really beautiful fusion between however, you know what I mean? There's so many influences in hip hop, and it's just that clash of poetry and musical influence. I fell in love with the Dirty South immediately. I started listening to a whole bunch of Ludacris and Lil Wayne and Andre 3K and stuff like that, and it blew me away how sampling works and it is able to bring this fusion of style. So I hope that answers the question, but long and short of it.
It certainly did. just to let you guys know, Landon's right now, he's at the airport. He's getting ready to fly to California. So if you hear a little background, he's in the airport, okay? So we just accommodate him by saying, we can do this anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when you got into all this genre of music, who personally persuades you to take it to a whole different level as far as being a professional?
So once again, I have to give credit to the people that are around me, right? So for years and years, I was playing music frequently, I was singing frequently, I was rapping frequently, but all of it was for my own purposes. You know what I mean? Like for the
Right.
sake of the therapy, I guess. You know, music touches us in an ethereal way and something that you can't really describe sometimes. And it was very important to me to maintain that musicality throughout my life, even if I wasn't pushing it to other people, even if I wasn't handing it to anybody and going, here, listen to my project. You know what I mean? It was
Right.
really irrelevant for a long time. So then as I began to get a little older, like I graduated high school, I was 18, 19 years old, you know, going to community college. And that's kind of the initial thing that spurred me into it, was being in college and being around other like-minded people, and also people in my own personal circle. You know what I mean? Whether it be family, whether it be friends, you know, folks just kind of prod me like, hey, you've got a gift. Why aren't you singing in public more? Why aren't you
Right.
promoting yourself? Why aren't you doing these things that, you know, artists that take it seriously do, you know? And so for me personally too, another side note that's kind of interesting to add is between the ages of probably like 13, 14 and 19-ish, 21, something like that. Anyhow, it's hard to guesstimate, but I was very exclusively a rapper. I didn't want to sing. The singing part was not even something that I took seriously or cared about, because it was so very, very closely connected to the religion part of it. Right. At which point, you know, I was kind of in a rebellious stage where I didn't want to hear anything about religion. I didn't want to hear anything about God. I just wanted to rap. You know, I just want to be a rapper. Let me spit my bars. And as time went along, people around me, you know, they just kept prodding me and just saying, hey, you know, you sing, you know, ridiculously. Like, why are you not doing anything with your singing? At least sing some books for yourself, you know, or something. And so I began to take that more seriously. And now I would probably say at my current state in my career, people prefer to hear me sing than rap. That's just the reality of the situation. Most of the time, if people are around me, you know what I mean, they want to hear the singing. That's
Well, you know, it's good to know that you have that versatility. And getting back to the God part of it, I can sort of like identify with that, but I believe that God utilizes your skills and gives you the skills and makes you utilize them to the fact of whatever it is. I don't think religion has a thing to do with somebody that actually wants to be artistic about their crafts. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're taking on a serious note, I believe that if you want to pursue it, your mindset has to be on you for what you can actually do. You know, so, you know, as far as different genres of music, what artists or several artists that actually influenced you? Who did you actually look at to give you that type of energy for you to develop who you are as an artist?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would probably have to start out just realistically by saying Dwayne Michael Carter Jr.
Really?
Lil Wayne, yeah, from a super early age, that was one of the first people that inspired me to rap, right?
Right.
And as he has evolved over his career, he's messed around with singing, he's messed around with guitar, you know, he loves to skateboard, he loves to do all this different stuff. And so I have to probably cite him as one of my earliest, you know, inspirations as far as just being yourself, you know what I mean?
Right.
Tinkering with styles, not being afraid to evolve, not being afraid to experiment, right? And that's one of the biggest things that I feel like is so important about not only music, but my approach to music, or my page. Like if you go on my YouTube, you go on my Apple Music, that's immediately what you're going to see is you're going to see a broad spectrum of genres. You're going to see me playing with rock. You're going to see me playing with rap. You're going to see me playing with R&B, with soul, with funk, with jazz, just so many different influences. And that's the beautiful part about it. So to name some names, though, Lil Wayne was definitely a huge one. I mentioned Andre 3K, right? You remember how they evolved as a group, him and Big Boy. They kind of like they started off as rappers, right? But by the time you got to AT Aliens, like they went to
a total different level. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, hey, ya, it's not a rap song. It's not a rap song at all. You know what I mean? They had completely crossed over. So, I mean, that's definitely a starter. I was influenced by, you know, obviously Ludacris. I was influenced by people, even like, for instance, Michael Bublé or Yellow Wolf or Tech Nine. I was listening to artists from, so you remember Flow Rider, right? So he did his pop thing for a while. Like Flow Rider was one of the, man, I could name on and on. I mean, obviously Eminem, was one of the earliest inspirations as far as like pure rap, right? But then as I started to notice that me personally, there was a very key point, a key couple of years where I started to detach myself from my influences more and experiment on my own.
Right.
And I remember putting down a track called "Tell You the Truth," which is actually one of my oldest remaining uploaded tracks, right? Because we all do purges. Like I went through and purged my whole catalog of anything that wasn't professionally mixed, anything that wasn't presented, properly with the branding and all that stuff.
Right.
So it's actually one of the oldest songs that I left up. It's called "Tell You the Truth." And I remember getting a compliment from my cousin, one of my favorite cousins. His name is KP Colors. He listened to the song and he looked at me. He said, "Landon," he said, "this is the first song I think I've ever heard from you where you don't sound like anybody. I can't put my finger on it. I can't say you sound like so-and-so, or you sound like you took this from." And from then on, it was so critical to me to not sound like anyone else. You know what I mean? And that's so taking all the influences.
So cool. And that is so cool. So, we're going to take a slight break and we're going to listen to Landon. And I want you to really listen to him because this guy is so gifted. And we'll be right back. So stay tuned.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
We got some fun people in the house tonight.
This is our house.
Set me on fire, and I won't feel a thing. I've learned to live with who I've become. If ignorance is bliss, then blow me a kiss and let me run. And I'm sure that you could tell me when and how and why it all would end. But honestly, I don't give a damn, 'cause I don't wanna know why I'm still sitting here thinking about all of the times you held me in your arms. No, and I don't wanna stay and think about all the reasons why you're not here tonight. Extinguish my pride, and I won't feel a thing. I feel it inside that you weren't the one. Now he gets to hold you while I drink rum and cola until my brain is numb. And I'm sure that you could tell me when and how and why.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
Turn around. You ain't really down. Playing the games you do. Someday, everything will be alright. Know that different people make the world go round.
And it's all because of you, my dreams are coming true.
That erases my rainy day.
Right now. I don't care who's watching.
For whatever the reason there might be,
With your love by my side, the world will be mine. You're the one for me.
Hey, we're back. This is Tyrone Lowe. This is my show, The Legends, and we are talking to Landon, aka Dirty F. White. What's going on, dude?
Man, it's good to be here. I'm blessed to have
You
you.
know, tell the viewers about Reasons because it sounds personal.
Pretty personal.
So let's talk about that.
So Reasons is probably considered by most people that have listened to me or are fans of me. They honestly, most people consider that like my magnum opus. You know what I mean? I don't really think of it in that way, but I've heard it described that way, and it's kind of, I mean, it's a compliment to the song, obviously. But Reasons was a song that I wrote when I was 19, on a picnic table with an acoustic guitar after a heartbreak. Right. Some of the most raw and inspired moments come from, I feel like, pain, especially. You know, you've heard there's a ton of happy songs, but I feel like some of the most poignant songs or some of the songs that touch people the most come from pain, come from heartbreak, come from sorrow, come from those things. And I know it's a fact of life that not a lot of people are happy about, I guess, and myself included. But yeah, so I was going to this boarding academy, right? Remember how I said I was raised super conservative Christian? So part of that was I spent a year at boarding academy in Fletcher, North Carolina. It's called Fletcher Academy. It was a Seventh-day Adventist boarding academy. And while I was there, I did what most teenagers do, and I fell head over heels for a pretty young thing. And we had a bit of a whirlwind romance, and I was not emotionally prepared to love this girl. I was not mentally prepared to love this girl. I had kind of a bad attitude towards love and relationships in general, and I squandered something that could have been beautiful. You know, it was beautiful for while it was going on, but I definitely didn't treat it. It's 100% on me. I didn't treat it, you know, like it should have been treated, or, you know. So anyhow, after that had kind of subsided, I watched her proceed to find someone else. You know, the natural progression of things. She cried, she got over it. But I didn't get over it. I spent I have to say probably almost a decade, and I let that girl live rent free inside my head.
That's a long time.
For almost a decade.
Wow. Okay.
And so that song was a direct, just me trying to flush out some of the emotions. If you listen to the lyrics of the song, you know, the pre-chorus, it says, "And I'm sure that you could tell me when and how and why it all would end, but honestly, I don't give a damn. Because I don't want to know why I'm still sitting here thinking about all the times I held you in my arms, and I don't want to stay and think about all the reasons why you're not here tonight." You know what I mean? It's one of those songs where ignorance is truly bliss at that point. You know, can I please just get rid of these memories? Can I get rid of all this? And so I wrote it on a picnic table with an acoustic guitar and didn't think much about it, right? Like I knew it was a good song. I knew it was conceptually solid, but I didn't think much about it. It wasn't until I got into, once again, into college, Cape Fear College here in Wilmington, where I'm from. That song actually won the Honors Society talent show. I won the popular vote and I won the judge's decision on that, an all original piece, me and a grand piano. And I had my Mr. Ernesto, my vocal coach there at Cape Fear at the time, or he taught music theory. He came up to me after that performance and told me that he felt that I was one of the greatest vocalists that he had ever come across in his time. In all his years at Cape Fear, he had never met a vocalist that could come close to the amount of emotion and pain that I was able to put into that song. And so I ended up putting it out. So like the recording that you just had, playing is the official recording that's online. But I feel like the most important part about that song to note, it's nothing like it is live. Like you can't, for some reason, you just can't touch that song.
Imagine.
Like
I can really imagine
me and a grand piano and that song. Like I'm able to channel something that's ethereal and untouchable. I don't know how to describe it, but it's one of my favorite songs that I've ever written per se. But it's not one of those that I sit around and listen to personally. You know what I mean? Because it still draws on a great deal of pain that kind of came from that whole situation. So shout out to all the young men who find a. I'm sorry.
You know, when I think about you and what I'm listening to, I hear R. Kelly. you know, I don't know if anybody ever told you about that. The simulation, the stories, the style, you know, and the piano. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So it's just in comparison. That's just me. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Uh,
R. Kelly's a
let's
legend,
talk
man.
about
I
some of
can't be
your.
mad.
All right, let's talk about some of your live performances. You have any in general you want to talk about?
You mean as far as like ones that I've done, or like
Right, the one that you've done.
just past memories? Yeah. I think one of the most notable ones was probably that Cape Fear talent show really poignant and stands out in my mind. After I sang the song Reasons, I actually went outside and kind of like had a little bit of a breakdown on the sidewalk. Like I literally went out and
Wow.
sat on the curb outside of the performance hall, and I was unaware that I had even won. I was out there sitting just trying to deal with just processing what had just happened, you know, and I sang that song and sang my heart out and broke down afterwards. And I went outside to sit. And my grandma was there in attendance and saw me perform. And she actually came out and tapped me on my shoulder. She's like, "Baby, come back inside. You just won." I'm like, "Oh,
Wow.
okay, nice." So I went back inside and accepted the award and all that stuff. That was probably a notable one. I also had some incredible experiences. Like I opened up for Juvenile at Greenfield Lake. That was a really good one. I've opened up
Mhm.
for Genuine. I've opened up for Nappy Roots, right? You remember Nappy
Yeah,
Roots?
of course. Of course.
The guys from Nappy Roots are actually friends of mine, and they came to Wilmington to do a show, and so I opened for them one time. That was pretty incredible. There's been some good highlights. Shout out to my buddy Bobby Dallas from CBT Records. He put me on a show in front of about 10K at an event called Apple Chill here in North Carolina, over there in Rockingham, where the racetrack is, and was able to do one of our love songs that we had, one of our combo songs, collab songs that we did called Endless Love. And that was a beautiful experience. There was a lot of beautiful ladies there, and they were enjoying the love songs. People like love songs. I found
Right.
out people really like love songs. So that was a really incredible one. And I just want to say really quickly too, shout out to Sean Bonner and Anthony Burkett,
Of course. Of course,
my
Sean.
management team. Sean is the man. I can't say enough good things about Sean. He's actually working on some tour dates for me for this year. I can't speak a whole lot about it yet till it's
Right.
solidified, but you're gonna see me on some major stages in 2022.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm really
Well,
looking forward to it.
me and Sean already, we talked about a few things, so I know exactly where that's at. They have some new artists that's coming into the craft, and I just like to know, hello, if is anything that you can actually tell them to actually influence them, in the craft.
If I could say anything, it would be don't be afraid. Don't show fear. Don't show creatively any signs of timidity. Like I think I'm trying to think about how to word this. If you're creating, right? If you're a creative, the whole point is to push the boundaries. The whole point is to go places that people haven't gone before and make combinations that people have never seen or heard, right?
Right.
So as an artist, I feel like it's such a typical thing to see, because I'm an engineer too. So I record people, right? So I've seen so many artists come to me and they say, "Oh, we need to look up a so-and-so type beat," or "I want to sound like so-and-so. I want to, I like this song. I want to do a song like this." I feel like that's just a fundamentally wrong approach from the beginning. And
Okay.
I don't fault
Okay.
any artist for trying to develop and find their sound. Cause like I said, it was a while. It was, a good little amount of time before I put out my first song that anyone said, "This doesn't sound like somebody. This sounds like you." But I think this striving for that particular moment is so critical for artists. Don't sound like anybody else. Do whatever you have to do to not sound like anybody. That's what's going to push you there. You know what I mean? Like I can sit right here and do 1,000 covers of 1,000 songs that have already been done. But in all reality, the song that's going to push you and the song that's going to blow you up is going to be that song like, who is this? What is he doing? What does he sound
Right.
like? Inevitably, that's what's going to attract your demographic and keep them in a chokehold. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right.
don't be afraid to experiment. If you're not a little bit uncomfortable, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure, man, to have you on my show and for you to be so informative to the viewers. And, you know, this guy right here, look out for him because he's certainly the bomb, you know, and go out there, support him, get his music, go to social media. You know, he's at the airport right now. You know, he's getting ready to take a little flight. But still in all, man, it's been a pleasure, you know, and this has been another T. Lowe video production. And stay tuned for another episode. Thanks a lot, Landon.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Shout out to Sean Bonner once again, Anthony Burkett. Shout out to you. Shout out to the legends. Shout out to the production team. It's been phenomenal. I'm gonna be clipping this and sharing it. Trust me. I wanna help promote.
You. All right, man. Thank you. I see you guys later.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
We got some fun people in the house tonight.
This is our house.
The razor's edge, the bitter truth is the only way to spare this pain from you. So if I could give you some advice to help you get through the lonely nights, you better disappear, get away from here. Oh, you better run away while you still have the chance. They should have warned you in advance. Now that your heart is in my hands, I understand. Oh, you better run away while you still have the chance. They should have warned you in advance. Baby, I'm reckless in romance. Yes, I am. Oh, oh. Tell me lies to show you care, but I'm the villain 'cause I try to shelter you. So if I could give you some advice to help you get through the lonely nights, you're gonna lose yourself standing here with me. Oh, you better run away while you still have a chance. They should have warned you in advance. Now that your heart is in my hands, I understand. Oh, you better run away while you still have the chance.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.